Hi Guy. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time of visiting this channel, kindly subscribe to my channel. Thanks. In today's video I will explain how they mocked my simple suggestion. It became the company's biggest win. People think offices are harmless places, fluorescent lights, endless emails, polite smiles. But sometimes, the real battles happen around polished boardroom tables. And sometimes, the wounds left behind don't bleed. They hum quietly inside your chest, waiting. My story begins on a morning I will never forget. I had no idea I was walking into an ambush. And I had no idea I would walk out having changed my entire life. I'm the kind of person who believes in preparation. I grew up watching my mother work 2 jobs, repeating the same words almost like a prayer. Don't let anyone silence you. Speak with your facts, not your fear. Those words shaped me. So even though I was always the quiet one in the office, the one who ate lunch alone most days, the one who stayed late finishing what others started, I carried my mother's voice inside me like armor. I was a data strategist at a mid-sized tech company. Not glamorous, not loud, but important. And I loved my job, until people found ways to make me regret it. Especially one person. Tanya. Smart. Sharp. And cruel in a subtle way, the kind of cruelty that hides behind fake laughter and innocent comments. She loved attention. Loved control. And hated, absolutely hated, when someone else had a better idea than her. So when I created a presentation that the senior board specifically asked for, I knew she was already planning something. I just didn't know how far she was willing to go. The week before the meeting, I spent almost every evening improving slides, double-checking numbers, and running projections that made my head spin. I had poured everything into it, every skill, every hour, every ounce of focus I had. But something felt off. Little things. Like how Tanya kept lingering behind me, pretending to stretch or grab something. Or how she suddenly started complimenting me. That dataset looks good, girl. Really good. She never complimented anyone. Not unless she wanted something. But I dismissed it. I shouldn't have. Because sometimes your instincts are warnings, not worries. I walked into the meeting room earlier than everyone else, to prepare. But when I entered, my heart stopped. My slides were already on the screen. Edited. Modified. Rearranged. Destroyed. And at the bottom of the first slide was a new line. Presented by Tanya L. I felt the blood drain from my face. I heard the door open behind me. "Oh, you're early," she said with a smile that felt like poison dripping from honey. "I figured you wouldn't mind if I polished it up a little." Polished it up. She had taken my work, stripped out the core insights, and slapped her name on it like a thief wearing my clothes. My voice barely came out. "Tanya, why would you?" "Relax," she cut in, adjusting her blazer. "You'll get credit. In spirit." I felt something break inside me. Spirit doesn't pay rent. Spirit doesn't get promotions. Before I could respond, the directors began walking in. My betrayal wasn't just a secret anymore. It was happening live. The meeting began, and I sat in my chair, silent, frozen, watching the scene like a nightmare trapped behind my own eyes. Tanya strutted to the front of the room. And then she did the unthinkable. She used my research, my numbers, my strategy, and mocked them. Mocked me. "So, full transparency, there were some flaws in the initial analysis," she said, glancing at me with a smirk. "I had to fix a lot before bringing it to you all today." The room laughed politely. I felt like someone had taken a knife and carved into my confidence. One director raised his hand. "Who handled the initial draft?" The question was a knife. Tanya answered cheerfully. "Oh." She chuckled. "It doesn't matter. What matters is I made it presentable." My chest tightened. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to scream. I wanted to defend myself, defend my work, defend everything I had stayed up nights perfecting. But I sat there in silence, frozen by shock, embarrassment, and disbelief. I had never felt so small. As she continued speaking, everything inside me crumbled. Flashbacks hit me. My mother's late-night exhaustion. Her voice telling me to speak. Her sacrifices. My sacrifices. And suddenly, something inside me snapped back into place. Not anger. Clarity. I realized something. If I stayed silent, I would lose. But if I spoke, I could end everything she planned. My hands were trembling, but I forced them to steady. Because the turning point of your life often starts with one decision. To stand up. Halfway through the presentation, one director frowned at a graph. "This doesn't align with last quarter's pattern," he said. "Are you sure these numbers are accurate?" Tanya opened her mouth to lie again. But I stood up. My chair scraped loudly across the floor. Everyone turned. My voice came out calm, too calm. "Those numbers aren't accurate." A ripple went through the room. Tanya blinked. "Excuse me?" I stepped forward. I wasn't shaking anymore. I created the original dataset. The version you're showing has several manipulated values. I can walk you through the correct data, if you'd like. The room went still. One director exchanged looks with another. Then, "Please do." And that was the moment everything shifted. I connected my laptop, loaded my true presentation, the version with verifiable timestamps, data sources, and audit logs. Then I began. I spoke with the same calmness I used to rebuild my life years ago. Not rushed. Not emotional. Just truthful. Slide by slide, I revealed the inaccuracies Tanya added. Point by point, I showed the missing information she deleted. The board leaned forward. Directors scribbled notes. The CEO, who rarely attended meetings, had his eyes locked on me. Then I pulled up the final slide. Evidence of unauthorized edits. Followed by screen recordings, audit logs, time stamps, user IDs. Everything. Tanya's face drained of color. What are you doing?" she whispered. I didn't look at her. "Presenting the facts." Gasps filled the room. One director sat back, stunned. The CEO finally spoke. "Ms. Tanya, do you have an explanation for this?" She stuttered, reaching for words that didn't exist. I was just trying to help. By taking credit for my work. I asked, my voice steady. Or by altering data that affects company decisions. Silence. Heavy. Cold. Truthful. She had nothing. Because lies crumble under facts. The CEO closed his folder. "We will discuss this matter internally," he said firmly. "But let me be clear, this presentation belongs to you, not her." For the first time that morning, I breathed. The directors nodded in agreement. One of them said, "Your clarity and accuracy are exceptional. We'd like you to lead next quarter's strategy session." My heart thudded. Tanya looked like her world was falling apart, but I didn't feel joy watching her break. Just closure. Because justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. A simple acknowledgement. The truth won. When the meeting ended and everyone filed out, Tanya rushed toward me. Her face was red with anger and panic. "You embarrassed me." I looked at her calmly. "You embarrassed yourself." She clenched her jaw. "You think you've won?" I smiled, not with cruelty, but with truth. "No. I think the facts won." She turned away, defeated. And I walked out of that room taller than I had ever walked into any room before. That night, sitting alone in my tiny apartment, I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I realized something important. For so long, I believed being quiet made me safe. But silence only ever protected.